It is election season. Filing day began on Saturday, and already we've had candidates in studio who are running for different positions, including county judge. Another race that is shaping up to be a big race out here is the race for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2. And joining me in studio to talk about his campaign, Clemmie Payne. Hey, Clemmie, how's it going?
Good morning, Chad. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to have you in. Of course, you're running, filed in the Republican Party. This is a big Republican primary for Justice of the Peace Precinct 2. Let's talk about you first. Tell folks who may not know you. They've probably, if they've gone to any Republican Party events or if they've gone to City Hall, they've probably seen you. But tell folks a little bit about yourself.
I have. I've gone to a few of the city council meetings, but my name is Clemmie E. Payne Jr. I've lived in Lubbock County for about 20 years now. My wife and I came here with the Navy. I was the head of the medical department here for the Naval Reserve Center, the active duty component here for that. And I spent 21 years in the Navy as a Navy corpsman. I call myself a hybrid. I'm a devil duck. I spent 21 years in the Navy, but all my sea duty was done with the Marine Corps, so I love my Marines. And luckily for me, my Marines love me back. I have a family, 3 wonderful children, 4 even more wonderful grandchildren. And I've been in Lubbock politics pretty much since I got here. I got here and Robert Pratt took me under his wing and took me to make sure I was on committees, and I spoke in front of city council. I'm a big advocate for individual rights. Mm-hmm. So
one of the I remember when the city council was trying to or looking at the smoking ban. You were one of the voices who got up and said, no, this is not what we need to be doing right now. This is not good for business owners.
Exactly. And I don't smoke.
Yeah,
I don't smoke, but people's rights are rights. And if I don't stand next to you when someone comes to take your rights away, nobody will be standing next to me when they come to take mine.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big. And I always thought that was one of the big big things is that, even if it doesn't affect you personally, mm-hmm. you still need to be standing up for it.
Yeah, stand up. You got to stand up for those individual rights because they are rights, and if they'll slow cook them away from you if you let them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've been involved in Lubbock County Republican politics.
Yes.
You've been going to meetings. You've been talking to people. You've been involved for a long time.
Yes.
What was it that made you go, you know what? Time to run for office. It's time to throw my hat into the ring.
I've considered it before, and it's actually been a long time dream of mine to run exactly for Justice of the Peace. When I was in the Navy and I was transferred away from Lubbock to Oklahoma City, where I took over the medical department for the Marine Corps there, the Marine Reserves there, I did what people do when they want to apply for a job. I went and got training for the job that I want to do. And that job is Justice of the Peace. I went and became a mediator. And I've mediated some cases here through the Dispute Resolution Center. And then I took it a step farther and I became an arbitrator. And an arbitrator is a finder of fact. And that's what you want your Justice of the Peace to be. And that's what you want them to do. You want your Justice of the Peace to listen to both sides of any situation and then make the decision on what's presented, on the evidence that's presented, not the feelings, but the evidence that's presented. And I've learned to do that. And I've been trained to do that, not only in mediation and arbitration, but also in my medical life in the Navy. You have to listen to what the people are telling you to figure out what's going on with them. So I've learned to do that.
Justice of the Peace, and I'm sure you've been told this before, it's one of those campaigns. It's hard to get people fired up about a Justice of the Peace race. With all the other races that are going to be going on in midterm elections, JP, it's down there on the ballot. It's far down there on the ballot. Why is it an important position for people, one, to pay attention to, and another for you to want to run for? Why is it so important?
One of the big things I've seen as I've talked to people about justice of the peace is the first question is, who's the justice of the peace?
Right.
Well, and then the next question is, well, what does justice of the peace do? The justice of the peace is the first rung of the justice ladder. Most people, hopefully, you'll never go any further than the justice of the peace for whatever reason. The justice of the peace has jurisdiction over all civil cases. They have over cases that are less than $10,000 to be adjudicated. They also adjudicate landlord-tenant disputes, mortgage evictions, truancy. That's a big one. Is working with these kids and keeping the kids in school. That's important. The court also hears suits on personal property, neighbor suing neighbor. It's the small claims court. And, you've probably heard it on TV, don't take matters into your own hands. You take them to court. So that's the justice of the peace court. And that's that first touch that some people have with the judicial system. And it's important that that first touch be a good one, that when you went in there, you say, win or lose, I was heard. So that's important.
Why should people vote for you? What skills do you bring to, what would you bring to JP? As I put before, I went and did, I'm asking the people of Precinct 2 to hire me as their JP. And as I said, I went and did what you do when you want to get a job. You go and get training for that job. I am going to have a court that, number one, works in conjunction with all the other justice courts. I see us working together as a team. One of the things I would like to do is look at maybe having a night court, or even Precinct 2 also covers Slayton. Mm-hmm. If we have cases and there's a need, let's take the court to Slayton. Take the people's court to the people. Right. And meet in Slayton. So there's people out there that may end up in JP court. Missing 2 or 3 hours of work is a bill not getting paid. And then if you lose in the JP court and you got more money taken out of your pocket, that hurts. Yeah. So let's bring the court to the people and give them an opportunity to still have their voices heard without getting hurt. I believe that my time in the military and my objectiveness, I'm objective and I can listen to both sides and make a decision without putting my personal issues on that decision. As we talked about before, I don't smoke, but that doesn't stop you from smoking. I don't own a business, but I believe a business owner should be able to run his business. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe that you are the best person to run your life, not the government. So that's those conservative values that I keep and the way I look at things. Yeah. Clemmie, for those who want to find out more about you and your campaign, you're running for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2. Where can they go to find out more information or to get involved?
I have a Facebook page set up. It's, of course, Clemmie E. Payne Jr. And my email is CP for JP2 @gmail.com.
All right. A lot of, and I know you're going to have events coming up. You had one this past weekend. You'll have some in the future, and we'll get you back in studio to talk about your campaign as we move forward.
I appreciate it, Chad. And, just out there to the folks, just look at the people running, and the main thing is to vote. Yeah. Get out there and have your voice heard.
Absolutely. Clemmie E. Payne Jr., running for Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2. Glad to have you on the show.